Hello and welcome, everyone. This is the Minnesota Sports Pulse talking our beloved Minnesota sports teams. And today, John Burgart, my lovely co host, who are we talking about?
One and only Minnesota Vikings. As you can tell, I think we're both decked out up in our
Uh,
purple. I got my Chad Greenway one on here, repping the old school boy that we all known to come and love. And I got my hat on. What about you?
yeah, I got a kind of looks like you a little bit.
Hey, I like that. There we
Yeah,
go.
that's
The
that's
bearded
right.
brothers. Here, all right, all right. I can work with that.
That's right. All right. As he mentioned, we're talking about the Minnesota Vikings, and today we are breaking down the schedule. Schedule came out a few days ago. We've had some time to look over it, think about it. So we're going to go game by game, a few thoughts, and give you a prediction of how we think the season is going to go. And then maybe we'll revisit this at the end of the year and figure out just how wrong we absolutely were. So
I don't know if I
let's not
like that idea because I'm going to put myself on blast pretty fast.
well, let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into it. So, to open the season, home versus the Green Bay Packers. 3:25 game, not a noon game. Home versus Green Bay Packers. So, Kevin O'Connell is 5-3 against the Green Bay Packers as the Minnesota Vikings head coach, and I
He's
am
three and
starting
one
this
in home openers too.
this is also true. Good note. I am starting this season off with a win. And an important note for me on that is Micah Parsons is probably not going to be healthy till week 3 or 4, based on the reports I'm hearing. So, Vikings have done good against the Packers in Kevin O'Connell's tenure. I'm not really high on the Packers this year. And without Micah Parsons, I'm starting the season off 1-0.
To be fair, I mean, we're on the same page. I have a dub as well. But to be fair, you're never high on the Packers, and neither am I, and anybody else in the Vikings. So we're just gonna skip that, okay? But I had the exact same thing. We're getting a dub week one. We're gonna come out. I don't know who's gonna be quarterback. I don't really care who's gonna be quarterback. We're still going to win no matter what because Jordan Love is not good. Micah Parsons is hurt, and they don't even have a wide receiver on the team that is, I mean, worth anything. Right? We don't know. So they're all gone. Don't care. So let's move on to the second game, which I thought was much more difficult to look at. And this is at Chicago, a two division games to start the season. And this
That's
one
right.
is a noon game, at
Mhm.
Chicago. Highest ticket sale prices as of right now, just in case you were wondering. But what do you think? I want you to go first on this.
All right, so Kevin O'Connell has done really good against the Bears as a Vikings coach. He is 6-2 against the Bears, but this is not the Bears of when Kevin O'Connell first started with the Vikings. I unfortunately am giving this a loss. I am I like what the Bears have been doing. I like the coach. I like the moves they've been doing. I like how they've been drafting and the free agent signings over the last couple of years. I think this team is on the rise. Chicago has a really hard schedule, so I don't know how their overall season record is gonna be,
Mhm.
but to start this, first game on the road, I'm giving this one a loss. I'm gonna have us split in these first 2 games, 1-1 for me.
I mean, I can see where you got that point. I'm definitely not on the same page as you. We're starting out 2-0. Okay.
All
Um,
right.
I uh I I have a lot more faith in this team than you do apparently, and I want everybody on record, this is where it's at right now. At least starting off with the season anyways. But no, Chicago to me is a team that's going from first to last in 1 year. They were first in the division last year. I think they're dropping to fourth this year. I
Wow.
think that what happened with them last year is that their turnover ratio was very similar to what Minnesota's was the year prior, right? Where we had a lot of forced turnovers, and last year we didn't have any. Like that's something that I think is foreshadowing for Chicago this year because they were very fortunate in the turnover margin last year. So I'm going with a dub at Chicago. Now I will say that was very difficult for me to just come out and say, hey, we're gonna go, there and get a dub, but we're gonna start out 2-0 against two division rivals, and I'm gonna feel really good about it.
I like that point you brought up about the turnovers because I know you and I talked about that during the season last year. Chicago
Uh-huh.
was on this great run with the turnovers, and I agree with you, but I look at it as more as that put Chicago ahead of schedule. I believe they're a team that's on the rise. Now, I believe they were probably more like a 10-11 win team last year versus I actually don't remember what their record ended up. They won the division. I think they were just ahead of schedule with those turnovers. I think this team is going to continue to rise, but we'll see. I'm rooting for your outcome, just so everyone's clear
I
here.
mean, you better be, yeah, because otherwise you shouldn't be on this podcast. Okay.
All right. So that takes us to following Sunday, week 3, at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 3 o'clock game for that one. Um, I have the Vikings winning this one as well. And as I was looking through the stats, I came across a key stat that I'm going to share here. Tampa Bay Buccaneers had the worst red zone defense in the NFL in 2025. 69.8% defensive touchdowns allowed, dead last. Minnesota Vikings were second with only 42.9% touchdowns allowed, and only Denver was better, and that was 42.6. So
Okay.
basically tied for the best red zone defense in the league. Um, I think that's a big thing. The Vikings struggled on offense in the red zone. They That's going to be an emphasis that Kevin O'Connell is going to continue to work on, and I think that's
Juwan
something that they're going
Jennings.
to exploit. There you go. That's
We
right.
just talked about in the other episode. He is a touchdown magnet. He's a really good red zone target because he's such a large wide receiver.
Mhm,
Okay. So I think that that's going to improve for us, which is great. I like where you went with that as well. And Tampa Bay lost Mike Evans. Now I
mhm.
know he was hurt for more than half of the year last year, which is unfortunate. And you never want to see that from a guy like Mike, who's, really kind of changed the league with how consistent he's been. Right. But he's gone. Okay. And you got Chris Godwin and you got Emeka Ibuka as your two wide receivers. They just drafted Ted Hurst and they have McMillan as so those are top four wide receivers. And Godwin came off of a really bad injury and he played a little bit last year, but do we know if he's still going to be the same Godwin or not? Probably not. He's
He's
also a
been
little
hurt a
bit
couple
older,
years in a
right?
row now.
Exactly. So, from my standpoint, I think that they're going to have to figure out who they're going to be able to throw the ball to reliably before we can really, gauge what kind of team this Tampa Bay team is because they weren't really that good last year. Nobody in that division was. They were all terrible. So, I'm giving us a dub as well. We're starting out 3-0 for the Vikes here on my side. I
I
don't,
love it. I
like
love it.
I don't like saying that because I've been hurt so many times in my life, but 3-0 is what we're starting out right now. All right.
All right. So then that takes us to the following Sunday. Home game back at home. Again, 3 o'clock. A lot of 3 o'clock games versus noon games I noticed on this schedule. Usually the Vikings are pretty locked in for those noon slates, but hosting the Miami Dolphins with a new head coach, a new quarterback, a new look. And I think that Flores matching up against this offense with this new quarterback and a defensive head coach in Miami, I don't think Miami's going to be able to score much at all. They also traded away Jalen Waddle in the offseason.
Mhm.
I'm giving the Vikings a win in this one.
I mean, I'm all for Malik Willis to the moon this year, but that's only because I have him in a dynasty league. So I kind of have to be that way. But anyways, we'll get past that note later because I'm probably going to be wrong on that.
Ah,
I'm also on board with you. So we're starting out 4-0.
ooh,
Minnesota's
firing.
4-0 after the year that we had last year. And again, I don't know who's going to be the quarterback, and I don't care because whoever the quarterback is, we're still going to be 4-0. That's how confident
Mhm.
that I feel right now with that statement. So there's not much to say about Miami, to be completely honest with you. They're going to be one of the bottom two teams in the league. It's going to be them and the Jets probably fighting for it.
Bottom two in the
Honestly,
league. Wow.
yeah, I don't. Well, and you know what? And I think that Miami purposely brought in Willis. And I think what's going to happen is they let Waddle go and they did all these other things. They did not address anything on the offense in the draft, right? They didn't give him any good wide receivers until the third round, right? And no offense, they drafted a guy who was injured all of last year. So I think that they're planning for a quarterback next year, which is unfortunate to say because I think Malik is just going to be a one and done type person there. But I think they're planning for a quarterback next year. So they're going for a bottom 2 and 3 type team, I think, this year.
All right. All right. So, okay, that brings us to week 5. We are on the road at one of, I think this is safe to say, our least favorite teams in NFL history, the New Orleans Saints.
I hate how you
Now,
even say that name.
yeah, I will preface this as I also like what the Saints are doing. I think they're starting a good build, but it's the Saints. They have not made up for what they did to Brett Favre back in 2009 by any stretch of the imagination. So, while I like Tyler Shook, their second year going into their second year quarterback, he showed some good flashes. Flores has proven himself to be a nightmare for young quarterbacks, especially early in the season.
Mhm.
So I'm giving this one another Vikings dub.
I agree with everything that you just said, but I am giving us a loss. And I
I
hate to say it,
Yeah.
but this is one like I had about 4 games on this slate that I
Mhm.
was like, "You know what? This is a big toss up for me." And I ended up giving us a loss at New Orleans. And one of the reason being is because you're right, they've done a lot in New Orleans. And they're doing a lot of good things, and they have a good offensive minded head coach down there, and they're bringing in weapons, right? That's what they're doing. They have Shuck, who I think played better than expected, which is why
Oh,
they're able to
absolutely.
right, but I mean, like, which is why they're able to take some of these risks, right? They got, Achan from well, let's talk like Travis, not the other Achan, because some of the people listening don't realize that his name's pronounced that way. But anyways,
Right.
so Trevor Etienne or Achan, if you didn't know, he
Right.
is now their starting running back with Alvin Kamara as a backup. And if Kamara stays there, we don't know. But if he does stay there, he's going to be utilized in one way, shape, or form. So I'm not too worried about that either. But then they have two quality wide receivers. I mean, Olave and Tyson. And Olave has been hurt on and off with some concussions the last few years, but he's also proven that he's probably a top 15 wide receiver in the league when he's healthy. So I do think that the Saints have done a really good job of surrounding that quarterback with some talent. And that scares me a little bit because of just the explosiveness that they can have on all facets of that offense. I don't know much about their defense, but I know that the entirety of that division was terrible last year. But the Saints came on late and they came on hard, which is good. So I am going to give us a loss, and we're both going to be at 4-1. It sounds like going into our week 6 bye.
Right, right. Yep. So both 4-1 head into the week 6 bye, which I was looking back. I think this is the third year in a row we've had a week 6 bye, which
It's 2
is
for sure. I hated it last year, and when we got it
Mhm.
this year, I was not happy either. I think it's crap, but
Yeah.
we'll just
So
keep moving on.
yeah, off the bye, Kevin O'Connell's actually only 2-2 off of bye weeks.
Uh-huh.
So not the best record off of a bye week, and this one was a real tricky game for me to decide on. So home versus the Indianapolis Colts, back to a noon game. Daniel Jones is expected to be ready to go to start the season. And what kind of Colts team are we gonna get? Are we gonna get the start of the year Colts team? Or are we gonna get the second half of the year Colts team? Now, obviously, that was, without Daniel Jones, but Daniel Jones is not Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. He was having a really good year before he went down.
Yeah.
But I just don't know exactly what type of Colts team this is gonna be. But I am giving the Vikings a loss in this one. Indy was really strong to start the year last year, and if they find that form again, I think that there's a chance they take this game.
Yeah, I'm going the opposite. I'm giving us the dub against Indy. I think I don't have a lot of faith in Daniel Jones. I love Daniel Jones. I like him. I wish that we could have kept him, but unfortunately, just throughout his career, he hasn't been consistent. No matter the coaches or the weapons that he's had, he just hasn't been consistent. So the fact that he put together a really good, first half of the season, I like to see it, and that was awesome. But I also think that a lot of those stats and numbers were a little bit unsustainable, just in my eyes. So I don't see him coming back after that injury and being, of full strength and being back to where he was. If not, I think he'd be back to his more inconsistent self or worse coming off of an injury. So that's where I went with it. And to be completely honest, their backup quarterback was a rookie last year in Leonard. And I don't think that they've signed anybody else because Richardson's not going to be their backup, right? They're trying to get him gone and out of there. So I think we're going to take a dub against Indy here. It's not going to be in the old fashioned where we had to come back from a 31-point deficit or whatever it was a couple years ago. We're gonna be up big, I think.
What a game that was. Yeah, so following week on the road at Detroit, first matchup of the year with the Detroit Lions. Now, last year, well, historically in the Kevin O'Connell era, Detroit has owned the Vikings. But this past year, the Vikings were able to do a lot more damage, and I think that was in large part due to the Detroit Lions offensive line took a pretty big step back
Uh-huh.
in 2025. Now, they've done some things to try and address that, and I think that's basically where this matchup hinges. It's Flores and Jared Goff, basically chess match. If Goff gets time, he shreds Flores' defense. If Flores can get to him, then the Lions can't do anything, even with some of the stud weapons that they have. So
Yeah.
it's a big unknown for me. But I went with the win. I like us to keep the momentum going against the Lions and pick up a win here.
That's very interesting. At Detroit getting a dub. I mean, I like the call. I'm going the opposite. I'm taking a loss right away. I think I don't know. It's tough. Like the way that Detroit has been playing the last few years. I mean, they're a quality team, right? I mean, last year they finished what was it 9-8, same as us.
Hmm.
Which doesn't show. I think the quality of a team that they really were, to be completely honest. But nonetheless, I think that we're gonna go in there and we're gonna end up losing just because I think their offensive firepower is extremely heavy. And Flores has shown several times that he can, really destroy their offensive schemes, but he can also really be susceptible to it. So I'm a little bit more hesitant going into Detroit on this one. Unfortunately, I'm gonna give us the loss, and I think we're at 5-2 now. Is that right? At
Yep, yep,
least I
5 and
am.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess if you're listening, you'll notice that most of my feedback is based on Flores and the Vikings defense matching up against these teams, and I think that, for my part, is due to because there's just so many unknowns with the Vikings offense, going
It's
into the
also
season.
consistent. Like, look
Mhm,
look at our consistency ratings for defense over the years
exactly.
versus offense. So, like, you can count on the defense much more than you can
Mhm,
count on the offense. So you might as well, focus
yeah,
on what you know more than
yeah.
what you don't.
We don't know who the quarterback's gonna be, and we don't know how the offensive line is gonna hold up. When healthy, we have a really, really good offensive line, but a lot of our struggles last year were due to the fact we were playing below average backup offensive linemen. So if we can avoid that, I'm not as worried about the offense, but that's why I'm focusing more on the defense matching up versus these teams because that's how the Vikings have been able to dictate a lot of these games over the last couple of years. And a big challenge for that would be coming up, first, prime time Monday night matchup of the season at home, but Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills are coming to town. Um, and I didn't have a lot of notes for this. The Bills they always throw a couple of odd regular season duds, through their
Mhm.
season,
Yep.
but I'm not go I've always been high on Josh Allen. I love watching him play. I am gonna go with the Bills, on this one, taking this primetime matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. Bills have some questionable things coming in as well, right? But they upgraded their offense with, bringing in DJ Moore, and I don't think he's going to be phenomenal as their wide receiver one, but I do think that he's going to do much better than he has in Chicago. With that being said, he's been reunited with his offensive coordinator that he had in Carolina, where he had his best seasons, and he's now has the best quarterback that he's ever played with.
And
So, like, you know what I mean? Like,
he's an upgrade over their wide receiver room,
oh,
sh
for
that
sure,
I'm
for
I'm
sure.
a fan of Shakir, but he's not a 1, he's a 2, to have DJ
Maybe,
Moore and then
exactly.
Shakir,
I like
and then those
Shakir
tight
too, but
ends, like
he's yeah.
yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Buffalo as well. I just think that their offensive firepower is very high, especially with Allen and Cook being, just the head of that offense. They're pretty consistent at their tight ends with Kincaid and Knox. No, they're not like, oh, top tier, but I mean they're both very consistent tight ends. So it's just our offensive wide receivers that are the kind of the question marks there. And I think Josh Allen and the Bills have shown that they don't even need a top tier wide receiver to be good. So I'm also going with the loss, and that's two straight losses for me.
This is a tough stretch of the schedule. This is probably their toughest, stretch,
Oh yeah,
I
these
think
four
these
games
4
are
games,
extremely
yeah.
tough.
So, yeah, road at Detroit, home versus Buffalo, and then on the road again, Sunday noon game at Green Bay. Now have how I looked at this is the Vikings have done, I think, better than expected based on the kind of the talent matchups between the 2 teams over the last few years, and this is an intense rivalry, and not very often do intense rivalries have sweeps. So, I have the Vikings splitting with the Green Bay Packers, so that means they're taking a loss here in Green Bay as much as it hurts my heart and my soul to say. I'm trying to be accurate for the people.
Yeah. This is one of my toss-up games as well, and I could see us going into Green Bay and getting a dub, but I also have us with a loss just because I know how tough it is to win on the road for division games, and I know that I already had us beating Chicago, but Chicago, it's whatever. Green Bay, our rivalry with them is a little bit different, So I do have us losing to Green Bay as well. It's kind of making our skid come to 3 games on my side here. But and then we jump into our matchup against San Francisco, which is going to be one of the primetime games, and is also in Mexico City, I
Y
believe.
Yes, it is. Mexico City, Sunday night, game there. This one was a toss-up for me. I didn't want to have us losing, for my part, 3 games in a row here. San Francisco's an odd one, for me to think about. You never wanna count on injuries, but man, they've just been ravaged these past few
Hmm.
years.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll have George Kittle. Trent Williams is very, very old. Um, our last matchup with the 49ers, it was a really exciting game 2 years ago. I have the Vikings winning this one. I think it's gonna be a really tough game, but,
Hmm.
I have 'em taking this one. I
Yeah.
think Flores gets the better of Brock Purdy in this particular matchup.
And I would hope that, like, that's the case. San Francisco's offense has been very good, though, under Purdy, and like I said, they haven't been asking Purdy to do anything spectacular at all. He's more I mean, to be honest, I think he's more of a game manager than people want to give him credit for. I think they like to give him credit for a lot more than that, to be completely honest with you. But I like what he's done. He's done a phenomenal job with the offense that he has, and he's done great. He's been surrounded by top tier weapons ever since he's been in the league, and he's doing awesome. He's got CMC, he's got Kittle. Now I think Kittle's not going to be there too. I agree, and CMC's hit or miss because he either plays a full season or he plays like 3 games and he's out. So you never know what's going to happen there. I do have us taking the loss though because they have upgraded their wide receiver room with Mike Evans. Bringing him in, I think, is just a huge boost for Purdy and that offense in general because they haven't had a true wide receiver one in a long time. I know Juwan Jennings filled in the last 2 years as such, and I think he did just fine in that role. But the problem is he's not Mike Evans. Like, he doesn't have near the history that Mike Evans is, the size, the talent. He just doesn't. I mean, if Mike Evans was the Vikings wide receiver 3, I think we'd all be freaking out, right? But it's Juwan Jennings, and I love him so much. You can go back and watch the video. I will talk about him all night long. Love him, but he's not Mike Evans. So Mike Evans being there is a huge benefit to that offense and Purdy. I mean, he's just a reliable person. If he's on the field, you know that he's going to disrupt. So I have us losing that game, and that's a 4 game skid for us, unfortunately, on my side.
What happened to your positivity and your optimism? It's fallen off of a cliff here. Don't
I
underestimate the
know.
Jawan
But the
Jennings
good
revenge
part
game.
is, hey, the good part is after we played these 4 tough games. Now, I'm not saying that these are going to be cakewalks because they're not cakewalks at all, but they are against Atlanta and Carolina, who are part of the worst division in football all of last year. We lost to Atlanta last year, and that was a fluke loss. That was just terrible. I hated every minute of that game. That was so we won't talk about that. But we're gonna get the dub against Atlanta at home. I mean, we're gonna right the ship. That's kind of how this is going. We're gonna be a little upset, and it's not a Kirk Cousins revenge game type thing because he's no longer there, so we don't have to worry about that storyline.
Yeah, we don't actually know who the, Atlanta quarterback is gonna be. Is it gonna be Tua? Is it gonna be Penix? They Atlanta's had some offseason drama,
Uh-huh.
on their defensive side of the ball. They lost Tyler Algier, who decimated the Vikings in that game. Him and Bijan Robinson ripped the Vikings defense to shreds. Now they did bring in Brian Robinson. Be careful, fantasy managers, don't draft the wrong B Robinson.
Yeah.
But the Vikings did make an emphasis in the draft, which we talked about in our first ever episode. They made put an emphasis on run defense, big boys, athletic linebacker. The Vikings are looking to stop the run in 2026, so we'll see how it goes. Bijan's obviously wildly talented, so
Yep.
I also have the Vikings winning this game, especially because it's a home game as well. And then yeah, the next week we go and face Carolina, who is an interesting team.
This is
I
the home
enjoy.
game as well.
Yep, home game as well. I enjoy Carolina. I'm not upset when they do well, but I'm not sold on Bryce Young, and
No.
I have the Vikings taking a win here as well, moving them in my book to 8-4.
Yeah, there's honestly there's not much to talk about Carolina. I
Yeah.
mean, Bryce Young, I hope he does well, but he's on year 4 or 5 right now, and he's shown flashes, but he's also been benched more times than I can count. So it's really tough to say how he's going to do. They have Tet, and I love Tet. I like his talent a lot, so he's something to be excited about. But anybody else on that team, I don't have any sort of excitement for. I mean, Chuba Hubbard as our starting running back. I like that he's been a good story the last couple of years, but he's not somebody that I'm threatened by when it comes to, our defense playing a running back of his caliber. So I also give us the dub here, and we kind of write the shit back. We're on a 2 game win streak now after that 4 game skid.
Yes, and then after that, the schedule is not kind to us. A quick turnaround Thursday night, 4 days later, taking on the defending AFC champs, New England Patriots, on the road. 7:15 p.m. game. This one hurts. This is a really good friend of mine who is a Patriots fan in the middle of Iowa for some reason, and I really don't want to hear him after this game. But unfortunately, I have the Patriots taking the dub on this one. But I hope that I'm wrong.
I mean, does he think that they were overrated last year too, with the kind of schedule that they had and all that other fun stuff, or did he not want to hear that conversation?
I'll have to
Okay,
ask him.
we won't talk about that. Anyways,
He'll probably comment and say something snarky.
I love it. I want the controversy because I'm all about this stuff. You know me. I'm all for it. So I will also say though, I am gonna give New England the benefit of the doubt. And since they got us on a short week at home, that they're gonna take a dub against us. And I mean, I don't want to take everything away from their season last year. I don't think that they deserve to be where they got by any means at all. I mean, they had a cakewalk to get where they got to, but they also ended up taking care of business and getting there, right? Like
Yeah,
you can't
they
say
are
anything else.
They
So
are,
they're
yeah.
solid. They're obviously a
They
very
are
good
a
team.
team. Yeah, they're a team on the rise. Talent-wise, Drake May is a good quarterback.
I'll be
Um,
interested to see if he can,
yeah,
continue the success that he had last year because that was what they were kind of, on until the playoffs when it was pretty bad on his part,
yeah.
right? But
They've got a small sideshow that they've got to navigate this season. A story that never
yes, they
seems to
do.
die, but we'll see
And
how that
they
plays
have a
out.
lot of fun things coming up here too, right? With Diggs' departure, and now they might end up getting AJ Brown. So they got a lot of fun things that they could
Yeah,
potentially look forward to as well. But we're done talking about the Patriots because this is not a Patriots podcast. This is for
this
the
is true.
Vikings.
That's right. Okay, so that brings us a nice 10-day turnaround, 10-day rest, and then we get back home versus the Detroit Lions. And I think with the 10 days off, it's a prime time Sunday night game. I do have the Vikings sweeping the season series versus Detroit, moving to 9-5 on the year.
That is so funny because I have us getting swept by Detroit.
My goodness,
So
I think we're flipped on 2 teams here in the NFC North. I think, we'll
yeah,
talk about the last game of the
no, we
season, but
definitely are. Uh, Detroit's offense has just been so efficient in the last few years that it's very difficult for me to want to bet against them. I mean, it just really is. I mean, no matter how good our defense is or has been, there have been times when our offense has been just terrible and we can't keep up on that side. So it's not like it's the defense's fault by any means, but I truly think that we're going to get swept by Detroit. I think this is our better chance to win. I don't like going into Detroit and winning. I could see us sweeping them, but I can't get there and have my heart in it to be like, "Yep, we're gonna sweep a division rival 2-0 when it's Detroit." But I can do it for Chicago because, it's just Chicago.
I mean, I can't get over the Vikings beat the crap out of the Lions, and Max Brosmer threw, like, for 3 passing yards. Like, how can you be high on that team?
I mean, I think that was more of an outlier, okay, to be completely honest. Let's not just go out to the one game where this thing happened
The Vikings
because
swept
that's
the
not how
season
that
series
worked.
last year too.
So I got them 0-2 against Detroit, and that's our loss. Week 16 though, I have us riding the ship again. We're jumping into Washington at home. We don't know, I think, what time that one is yet. They haven't set that. But I mean, last year we demolished them. It was no question. It was just that was the funnest game to watch last year, besides maybe the Bengals, but that one got out of hand so quick that maybe that one wasn't as fun. Um, so I like us riding the ship against Washington here.
Yeah, that could be it's a TBD on the date itself, so it could be a Christmas Eve, Christmas Day game, maybe not. I think they'll wait to see if either of these teams are very good to make that, decision. So we will see. I also have them, yeah, winning this game. Washington's, they had that nice run 2 seasons ago, but they've got a lot of roster holes to fill.
Uh-huh.
And I have them taking this dub here as well. And then Sunday, kicking off 2027, Sunday, at the New York Jets. Now the Jets have a lot of draft picks. They've been bringing in a lot of young talent, but they're not there yet, and they don't have the quarterback. And when you don't have the quarterback against Brian Flores, that's a tough thing to handle. So I have the Vikings taking this one for a win. My third win in a row for them. Got them on a little streak here.
You know, I like that, but I wanna challenge you a little bit on the quarterback situation in New York because I think that Cade could be the future for them, and mostly because I just drafted him in a couple leagues hoping that he would. So let's get the buzz going for Cade out here. That way we can get some of that, getting the fans behind him there. But no, I agree. I think we go into New York and we win. I think that the Jets could be on the right path, but we also know that the Jets are the Jets, and they've made some poor decisions. They've just found ways to screw everything up. I do like what they did in the draft this past year, and they also have a lot of picks coming up in the next year too.
Say,
So
if any
like
team's looking for one of the top quarterbacks in the next year's
yeah,
draft,
it's
it's the
them. Oh
Jets.
no, hundred
They're gonna have
percent
no
them.
interest in winning this game. Well, the upper management will. The players always try hard
Yeah.
on the field.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm on board. We get the dub here. I think they're also going to be fighting with Miami for that bottom two. I don't see many other teams being that bad as these two teams, but I think they're going to be at the bottom two. So we get the dub there, and then we round out and we finish up the series with a division game versus Chicago at home. We end it there. We're going to put Caleb Williams 6 feet under. We're going to be on to the playoffs, and they're going to be at home crying as the fourth seed. I'm sorry, fourth place in the division. Okay.
Yeah,
It's kind of how it's going. I have a dub.
yeah, yeah. I would have to push back on that one. Like I said, if we're flipped. You're high on Detroit. I'm high on Chicago. I think this game there's a chance this game could be maybe for the division, wild card seeding. It could be a lot on the line for this particular game, but I do have Chicago taking this one and taking the season series, putting the Vikings at 3-3 in the division, which I think is appropriate for how tough the NFC North is and where this team
Yeah.
is situated at. Um, but I am perfectly open to us taking some games versus Chicago. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, it
So,
is it is funny
yeah.
how you went 2-0 versus Detroit, I went 0-2, and then you went 0-2 versus Chicago, and I went 2-0. Which I mean, like I'm with you on Chicago. I really am. I like what Chicago has done. I hate to say it because I didn't want Ryan Poles to be a good hire for them. I'm going to be completely honest. When that happened, I did not want that to be a good thing, but it has been. I think he's done really good at bringing in free agents and
Mhm.
drafting for that team so far. And Caleb Williams showed last year that I mean he is a top tier talent. I don't care what anybody says. You can talk about him and Jaden Daniels all you want, but Caleb Williams showed last year that he proved to be the first overall pick. There was a lot of people questioning that, and I don't think that you should be questioning that early. But anyways, I don't want to
I
get
got
into
hang
that.
on.
I just think,
I've got a solution to our problem, John.
oh,
So we're different on Detroit, as you said. We're different on Chicago. I've got the perfect solution. The Vikings win all their division games. They go 6-0 in the division, and everybody's happy. Everybody wins.
if we go 6-0 in the division, Josiah, we could very well be like a 14-win team next year.
Well, that hasn't always gone so well for us in the playoffs.
No, but like with our schedule, like the way that we have it, we could very well be a 14-win team.
That's
So I
true.
hope that you're right.
Yeah. What
But
do
oh
you have as
gosh,
the final record for the Vikings after the tally
I
is
have
done?
10 and 7. 10 and
10 and
7
7.
is what we finish at. We finished one game better than last year, and there are, like I said, there was four toss-up games for me. So I mean, it could switch one way or the other. I'm hoping, obviously, towards the Dubs, but I'm a very realistic individual, and I also don't like to get my hopes up too much because I've been let down so many times by this team right here, and it's kind of depressing. So I want to
Yeah.
be as realistic as I can.
Yeah, I do. I have the Vikings at 11 and 6, so one game better. I think they're could be competing for the division. In the NFC, 10 wins doesn't guarantee a playoff spot.
Mhm.
11 is pretty safe to getting into the
Oh
playoffs.
yeah.
So we'll see. But we always want more wins than that. We're greedy. We want them all. So,
Yeah.
any final thoughts before you wrap it up and get us out of here, John?
No, man, I'm super excited. Like I can't wait. Like NFL season is what I love. And you know what's even better is it's during hunting season, so I get to enjoy both seasons at the same time, and it's such a happy time for me in my life. So I can't wait for that to get here. Like we have such an exciting schedule. At first when I looked at this, I was not happy with the way that it kind of panned out, but the more I thought about it, the more people I talked to, I just, you know what? It's something that I really, really enjoy. I think this is a good schedule for us, and I'm very excited to see kind of what we can do with the people that we're bringing in. So, anything else you want to touch on quick?
Nope, I think I'm good.
All right, perfect. Well, hey, that was one of my favorite episodes because this is, like I said, my favorite time of the year talking about the Vikings. This has been the Pulse of Minnesota Sports. If you like what we're doing, hit that button. Okay, subscribe, like, share, tell your friends, tell your families, tell your enemies. I don't care who you tell, just tell them. All right, that's what we want. So, if you like it, we'll see you in the next episode that'll be coming out soon.